Welcome to Daily Origins Lifestyle Interview Series, a series where we speak with business owners about their origin story. I'm your host, Genevieve Kavanaugh, and today we have Kayla Mills, founder of Working Woman. Welcome, Kayla.
Hi, I'm so happy to be here.
I'm happy you're here too. So tell us who you are, what you've been up to.
All right. So I am Kayla Mills. I'm Kayla Lee Mills on Instagram, and I am a woman, but I am the creator of Working Woman. It is a small business that I created during a little before quarantine, actually, but it really took off, and I kind of focused on it a lot more throughout quarantine. So it was kind of a brainchild for a long time. I took a couple of steps to kind of get it started, and then kind of put all my energy into it when I had nothing else to put my energy into.
Yeah, we all had the time at the beginning of March, so I totally understand.
Yes.
Want to tell us a little bit of Working Woman's origin story?
Yeah. So I have always wanted to just have something for myself. And I would always use the phrase like I'm a working woman, and I would just spit it out there. Like if people ask me what I was doing, I'm like, I'm busy, I'm a working woman. Like it just kind of became a catchphrase for me. So I was like, I really just love that saying. And pre-corona, I was doing so many things, and so many women around me were doing so many things. They were working full time, they were starting small businesses, they were becoming fitness instructors, they kind of were doing it all. And we were all working all of the time, like whether that was at work, at home. What I have friends that are mothers, like they're working too. And I'm just like, we're all just working women. And it just, that word just stuck with me. So I started Working Woman with a couple of ideas. Eventually I want to make it something much bigger than it is now, but I love talking to women and kind of hearing their stories and hearing what they're doing and why they do it. But aside of that, once quarantine hit, I was not a working woman. I was doing nothing. And I kind of turned that into a merch company. So I kind of flipped the switch. I had released a couple of items previous to COVID, but I really didn't take off with it until we were stuck in quarantine and I was not working. So Working Woman became my full-time job at the time. And I started making tie-dye and bleach dyed merch, and then kind of expanded that to some other items as well.
It's really wonderful. I loved watching your journey through Instagram stories and everything that you developed. I think you even did a bed cover and
Yes.
sold that at one point.
I had a duvet cover. I made my own, and then a couple people were like, we want duvet covers. Like, why haven't you released these? So I'm like, okay, I'll just do a couple. Let me know what you need. I was kind of just doing whatever anyone wanted at the time, which was cool to experiment. But yes, I was on Instagram. I'm like, what am I going to do with my time? I was always talking to my camera. And it kind of started off there. Like I was making one-offs, and then it became too much to handle. So I started a Shopify store, and it kind of took off from there. And from the tie-dye, kind of other ideas started to come to mind. And I just was using my creativity as best as I could.
Oh, you used it really well. And especially during the height of tie-dye central, like over a year. And I'm sure you already heard this from me, but for over a year, I looked at different tie-dye sweatshirts and stuff, and I didn't land on one for a long time, but the way you do it, it's like kind of mind boggling. I'm like, how's that look so perfect? So you do a
It's
great job.
Thank you so much. I know it's great. There were so many tie-dye companies popping up, small businesses, and all of them are so different. It's like I've purchased ones from other small businesses and individuals who are just really creative. And I'm like, I always wonder, I'm like, what kind of method are they using? Like there's so many different ways to put these things together. So it was kind of cool to see a lot of other individuals start their own thing.
Yeah, it's great to watch a lot of people chase their passions right now and hear about yours. Did you go to school for fashion design, or is this something that you've always just kind of had a niche for?
Yeah, I did not go to school for fashion design. I've always loved shopping. I'm I wasn't always on like the design side of things. It was more like I'm gonna buy these other designs. But I did always have an interest. Like I always loved shopping my whole life. I do work in retail full time and I have for a long time. So like retail in general is something that I'm passionate about and something that I enjoy because I do enjoy like the customer side of things and being able to just uplift people, even if it's just buying a sweatshirt or a shirt or anything that you're purchasing. Like I find gratification in like treating myself. So it always feels good to be able to deliver a product that people are enjoying on their bodies or at their home.
It's always a different feeling. Everybody, I've been in retail before, and everyone was like, "Oh, retail, aren't you scared of the holiday season?" It was actually unique because the conversations you have with people, it feels different to put something nice on someone, and it might be materialistic, yes, but it makes them feel better. And if you're buying a gift during the Christmas season, like that even makes people feel good to do so. So it's a nice warming place to be.
It
That's what I
is.
think. Yeah.
It is. It can definitely be tough at times, but I do think that I get I work for Athleta, which is we're such an empowering company, I believe. So it is interesting because you have those experiences in the fitting room with people that might not be comfortable or not might not be confident. And I know we're going a little off of my own personal little brand here, but it is a great feeling to be able to deliver comfort, like you said, even if it is materialistically, because if you're not feeling good in what you have on, your mindset, like my mindset, isn't right. If I'm not in something that makes me feel comfortable or I'm not loving the way something looks on me,
Mhm.
I'm not 100% there with myself. And even if it is materialistic, I think that it can be uplifting.
Oh, I agree. I think your outfit, especially for women, your outfit can change your mood. And I remember there were days that I'd be at the office all day and I'd start off the day like, oh, I love this outfit. At the end of the day, it's all shriveled up. And I'm like, oh, I can't wait to get home and take this off and change, just your confidence can change in a second when it comes to clothing. So it's really nice to be on that side of things too.
For sure.
When you started designing your tie-dye like sweatshirts and all that stuff, did you have like an idea in mind? Did you do this before? Did you just jump right in and try it?
Yeah, I kind of jumped right in. So the first style that I made was like an acid dye or a bleach dye. So that's just when you're using a darker material. But I was bored and wanted to make something for myself, and I have always been like somewhat creative. I wouldn't say that I'm like the most artistic person, but I definitely have a creative side to me. So I was just kind of in my bathroom playing around with some darker colored items that I had. And I was like, oh, I really like the look of this. So I was like testing out a couple older sweatshirts that I had around the house. Um, and I posted what I had made. I'm like, oh, this is so cool. I just made this. And a couple people were like, what, like, how did you make this? Like, I want one. And I was like, okay, like maybe I can go pick up some more of this item and just like do a couple. And the people that were kind of messaging me were mostly friends. So I was like, oh, I'll just drop it off at your house. So then it kind of just started to spread. And I'm like, okay, well, I'm not doing anything right now. So I can continue doing this. So after that, I just kept testing things out, different colors together, different methods. And I would just continue posting them to get feedback from people to see what they
Mhm.
thought about the colors or the pattern or whatever it might have been. And then from there, it kind of took off. So I didn't go in with a design in mind. I just kind of wanted to make myself a new sweatshirt.
Yeah.
And from there, I just continued to experiment and kind of make it my own.
Oh, I think it came out great, and all the products I know I've shared some for gifts, like the colors that you chose, they all look wonderful.
Thank you.
But you've gone beyond just tie-dye products. You have a really great t-shirt called the Speak Up Tee. What inspired that? Like what sparked you to put something out there like the Speak Up Tee?
Yeah. So last summer during the height of like the not like last summer during the height of the BLM protests, I just wanted to create something and kind of use my platform and whatever voice that I do have to put something out there where people could express, whether it's their support or whatever it might have been, they can express their support, for lack of better words, on a t-shirt. And like I said, I'm not super creative, and I was laying in bed one night and I just thought of a quote that I knew from Martin Luther King Jr. Um, and I was like, okay, like I love this quote so much. What could I do with it to kind of make it my own? Obviously, it's not my own quote. I didn't come up with these words, but what can I do to kind of make a spin on it? And that's when I added the Black Lives in parentheses in the middle of the quote. So that idea just kind of came to me, and I was like, all right, I'm going to do this right now. Like, let's come up with a very simple design that I can order a sample of, because I want to wear this, and maybe other people will want to wear it as well. So I ordered some samples of the design. My first order, I only ordered 25 because I was like, okay, I'm going to have one. My boyfriend will have one. I'm sure some of my friends will buy a couple.
Yeah.
And I posted it to social media, and I use that a lot just to get feedback, to see what people think, to get like insight on things. So I posted the shirt, and all of a sudden people started sharing it. Like they loved the message and kind of the design of the shirt, which I will say I didn't work a long time on the design. I was like, this is something that I want to get out here. Let's get this printed and ordered and shipped to me. And all in one night, I kind of came up with the design, ordered some samples, and had them shipped to my apartment. But from there, the message kind of spread, and I opened up a pre-order for the shirt and just continued to ship them out. It was really unbelievable, because I had originally just ordered those 25, and I believe year to date, since it hasn't been a year since I launched it, there have been over 550 of those shirts 550 of those
Amazing.
shirts shipped out, which was so crazy because I ordered 25 of them and I was hopeful that those 25 would sell. So it was really cool to see that thought come to life so quickly.
Right. All it took was like a thought at nighttime while you're settling down, like, and you brought it right into life and it took off. Congratulations. That's a
Thank
really great
you.
success.
Thank you. I think some of the best ideas are ones that are not planned. And obviously, with certain things, there's so much planning behind it. But I feel like sometimes when you have a vision, you kind of just need to make it happen. It's like, I always say, don't think, because when things come to me, I just have to do them sometimes. And if I sat down longer and thought about it, like I might not have even have ordered the shirt, because
Right.
I would have overanalyzed my own thoughts. But getting it done and ordered, I was like, okay, they've been paid for. Hopefully they sell. But it really helped build my confidence as well, because I'm like, okay, you can come up with an idea and execute it. Like, you're good. You've got it.
Yeah.
You can do this.
I mean, I feel a little called out because I'm definitely a thinker and I'll sit on a thought for a long time before I pull the trigger on anything. But, there's two types of people in the world. And I love speaking with people who are just kind of go for it. And like you said, your quote, don't think, because it allows you to expand and test things and try something. Like if it didn't work out after the 25 t-shirts you purchased in the beginning, you still had 25 t-shirts to give to your friends and family. So,
Right. I think there's definitely parameters. There's definitely things you should think about. But but especially when it's like a new idea, or just something that comes to mind like so strong, like, and the thought is so strong. I always tell people, I'm like, if there's something that you want to do, go after it. Like, you can always pivot. And I think that obviously there's a planning process with everything, but sometimes it's easy to be talked out of things yourself, or to have other people talk you out of things. Like, I definitely think that there's been ideas that I've had that I probably should have just done, but I talked to too
Mhm.
many people about them. And then I was like, okay, well, so-and-so doesn't think that this is a good idea.
Yeah, that always happens. And I think even when you speak some ideas out loud and you're so proud of them, but you can't articulate it the way it is you're in your head. And then you'll have the other person on the other side of the phone or in front of you and you're
Right.
with a little bit of a question mark. So it might give you that stalling motion. So
For
It's
sure.
tough. You got to find that good balance. That's actually, I was going to just ask you, what could you share with someone who might just be starting out? And I think that's great advice.
Yeah, I would definitely say just start,
Yeah,
especially if there is a low risk. So obviously for what I was doing, t-shirts, it's not a massive spend that you're doing to order 25 t-shirts, but if it's a idea that you have, like starting a jewelry business or something, it's like you can always start small,
absolutely.
um, and then go from there. And you just have to start doing something, because it you can easily lose that motivation to start, and then you're never going to get anywhere if you don't start. So I think it's important just to start.
Absolutely. And the next question would be like, what's the most important lesson you've learned since starting a business? So they're like just carrying along that starting point.
Yeah. So the most important thing I've learned is to stay organized. I am I'm an organized mess, I would say. So for me, it's kind of leaning on someone who might be more organized to like help you out a little bit. Um, and if you are already organized, that's awesome and you can do it yourself. But I think it's good to know where your weakness is. And for me, that's organization. Because things can fall apart very quickly. Like if you don't order the supplies that you need, or you need to ship a bunch of things out and you didn't order mailers, it's just keeping track of things and staying organized would be the number one thing that I've learned.
No, that's great advice. And on top of the advice you're giving, you're saying if that's not your strong suit, work with somebody who's willing to help you and
Right.
they're strong in that area. So it's always great to have a good balance of, partnership and support too.
Exactly. And it's funny, you'll be surprised as to who wants to support, even if it's something small. Like it's always important to be able to ask for help, even if you think that you can do it yourself. Like there are so many moving parts, even if you have a small business, that if someone's offering the support, just take it because they offered.
Right. And not being afraid to ask those people, it will just help you in the long run completely. I mean, switching over to a little bit of your personal platform, because I know
Yeah.
you and I talked beforehand how much you've been using that as, a place where you're being very vocal about a lot of topics. Do you want to share what you've been speaking about body positivity and maybe a little bit of your activism conversations you've been having?
Of course. So I'll start off with the body positivity because I think that is a little easier to talk about, in some ways. For me, I am definitely body positive, but I've kind of shifted my brain to giving myself the space to just be neutral about my body. Like I don't
Mhm.
always have to love it. And I love the self-love movement. And I do think that it is important, obviously, to love ourselves, but it is hard sometimes to say, like, I love every part about me. So right now I'm kind of in that mindset where I'm neutral and there are things that I love and there are things that I don't always love, but I can work through those things. And in time, maybe I will learn to love them. But it's being in the body that I have now. So
Right.
we only get one body and we go through so many chapters in life where our body changes. Especially for women, our body changes a ton. We if we have the chance to can birth life out of our body. So it's really sitting with the body that we're living in the moment and saying, like, this is my body right now. And I'm going to treat it with respect at whatever size, weight, whatever I look like. This is the body that I'm respecting. So right now I am leaning into that just because I was in not the best place. Over like the fall and the winter, and I was having a really hard time with the body that I'm currently in this moment. I always struggled with weight, and I went through a 75-pound weight loss a couple of years back. So that's its own topic. But
Yeah.
after that, I thought that I was finding more respect for myself, and I might have found a little bit more, but in the end I was still continuously trying to get smaller and smaller. And over quarantine, I know a lot of people lost weight, but a lot of people gained weight and are not comfortable in the bodies that we have. And now that things are opening up a little bit more, I was finding that I was having to go through a lot of the items that I owned and get rid of them, sell them, donate them, because they're not fitting the current body that I'm in. And it took a long time to kind of accept that, because
Yeah.
before, previous to this neutrality that I'm trying to embody, I would have just tried to get back into those clothes by eating less or working out more. And I'm like, that is not healthy for my body. It's not healthy for my brain. And I have to kind of break this cycle of having these sized pants that I want to get into. It's like, I can live in the body that I have now, and I'm going to dress the body that I have now. And if that body shrinks, I'll do it again. And it might burn a little, because now I'm going to have even more clothes that I have to get rid of. But at the end of the day, it's more important for me to feel good in the moment than to look forward to wearing a size 27 shorts, or having to spend some time selling clothes that no longer fit. Um, yeah, living in the
I,
body that you have is important.
I think that is a great way to think about it, because there's so much, there's left and right, there's positive and then there's negative, and you have to be in one space or another. But I find that the conversation has been so active recently that we have to talk about like being okay being in the middle. And I agree with you. There are some days where I'm like, wow, like, and I'm physically fit, I'm active, I, eat healthy. And then other days it's just you're down in the dumps. So just being in that neutral place of loving who you are in your body that you are in right now. I mean, sometimes we're comparing ourselves to photos of us. I
Mm,
mean, I'm in my 30s, back in my 20s. That's not
right.
going to be the same person that I was 10 years ago. So
Exactly.
understanding that, accepting it. I love what you've been saying lately about your clothes from last year might not fit. So making sure that you have stuff that you feel comfortable in right now is better than just trying to shove yourself in those clothes, or like keeping them there to, get down to eventually like your skinny jeans. It's a great way to think, and it helps take that weight off your mind of, there's pressure and like everything you put in your mouth, or how much you're exercising a week, and just really enjoying life and less of that worrying. I believe
Yes.
you're doing a good job spreading that message.
Thank you. I mean, we already have so much stress in life, and it's like, do I want to stress myself out even more? Absolutely not. I don't want any additional stress that I
No.
can control myself. And I think it's all about how you think about things. It's like, yes, it is a bummer, like having to get rid of things, but like, how awesome is it to find something that I'm going to feel so good in? And I will definitely continue to push that message. I also think it's important to state, like, I find a lot of times there can kind of be like combating thoughts in like the self-love space, where it's like, oh, if you love yourself, why are you trying to lose weight? And that those conversations really irk me, because I think that I don't think that it is an issue to want to lose weight or want to continue on some sort of fitness or health journey. But I
Right.
definitely think that there are healthy ways to do that, and there are unhealthy ways to do that. And like, one day maybe I will be a size 27, 28 again. But that is not something that I'm going to hold on to and have to think about and stress myself out about every day. I'm going to do what I can for my body and treat it with respect. And the weight might shed, or it might stay the same, like depending
Right.
on what's going on in my life at that time.
It's totally a okay place to be in. Like it just maintains, and it's not going to be instantaneously shedding weight
Right.
all the time too. So just just being able to be okay with that, and having that conversation that self-love comes in different ways to different people.
Yes.
You're doing a great job. So I really
Thank
enjoy
you.
that conversation that you're sharing with people.
Thank you so much.
And so you were active with the Speak Up Tea. Have
Yes.
you gotten involved in any other activism platforms, or have you gotten involved in any other way?
So for me, I how do I word this? So I like to speak up about my personal experience. I'm not versed enough to kind of speak for a demographic and I choose not to, because I don't think that I have the right words to say, but what I can do is just spread my own thoughts, and express my own personal opinions about things. So I do like to bring awareness, and I do love to share things that more educated individuals share on Instagram. I think that there are some really great accounts that I look to even learn more. Just about my background a little bit. I am African American, and my mom is Caucasian. My dad was Black. So I grew up with an all white family. So in a lot of these areas, I don't always have the words to say because I was raised by a white family. My father was not in my life for most of my life. So although my skin is brown, um, a lot of my experiences are different than others, and I think we all have our own story to tell. So when I can speak up and have the words to say, I like to use them, and I use my Instagram to speak up about my thoughts. But I'm also still learning. So it's kind of, I kind of teeter back and forth, because sometimes it feels strange speaking about things that I don't feel 100% comfortable talking
Yeah.
about. But one thing that I will never be is silent. I will always speak up when I can. And I say, for me, just using my own voice and telling my own story is the activism that I choose to participate in, because there are so many people that are spending their lives learning and educating others. And I'm part of that group that's still being educated.
Right. As am I. And I think learning from you, and like you said, there are some really great resources online and on Instagram. And we've touched on this before, like even if you're reaching one person, which when you speak and you share these things, it's helping me understand more. I think you're using your platform the way you want to use it. I believe that that's in the right direction, and it supports a lot of people in many ways that you probably don't know.
Thank you. I listened to a podcast yesterday, and it was about setting boundaries. And that's one thing where through the height of the BLM protests, I know that a lot of people were kind of reaching out to people of color that they know, or that they had been acquainted with. And it's really not our jobs to explain things all
Mhm.
the time. And so many people choose to. And I like send my love out to anyone who is spending in any amount of time trying to educate others, but a lot of people choose not to. And that's kind of a boundary that I set, where I share my personal experience, but I'm not someone who you should go to for explanations of
Yeah.
why things are happening or what we can do to help solve things. If I have an opinion on it, I'll share it, but
Yep.
I'm not a source of knowledge for that subject.
No, I appreciate you being authentic to who you are and sharing that. It's tough, and it's always there always could be the opposite where you're just like, oh, I know everything and I'm going to share it,
Right.
and you're recognizing that you don't, and you're sharing what you can. I think that's just helpful enough too.
Yeah, just like the T says, it's like speak up. So if I have something to say, I'll speak upon it. And if I don't, then I won't.
Good. Well, keep on doing it. And while you're at it, you got to tell us how you're managing your schedule, because you're working full time, and you were teaching fitness for a little bit. So tell us how you're managing all of it at once right now.
It's hard. It's really hard. So I went from doing everything to doing nothing to trying to pick up the pieces of everything that I was doing before. So right now for me, I actually signed for a new job right as the city was closing down. So I believe Boston shut down on a Wednesday. I had signed my paperwork that Monday. And like I said before, I'm with Athleta, and I love my job so much, but it was a new job, and I've been in retail for a long time, but I was coming from a corporate setting in the retail world. So going back to a store, which is not just open Monday through Friday, kind of balancing a schedule that was not set, was something that I took a long time getting used to,
Yeah.
because it can be tough not to have set days off or a set schedule. So kind of pulling back and settling into my new job was my first priority. So a lot of the tie dyeing that I was doing and the merch that I was creating for Working Woman kind of hit a pause just because I did need to focus on this new job that I applied to and got, and I was excited about. So I was spending most of the fall and winter getting acquainted there. And now that I have been there about a year, I mean, we were closed for a couple of months, but now that it's been about a year, it doesn't feel like a year. It
No,
feels more like 3 or 4 months.
it's like we
But
blinked our eyes and we're already a
yes,
year later.
I'm like, oh my gosh, how's it been a year? But now that I kind of feel comfortable and confident in the job that I'm doing there, I am picking up my fitness classes again, which I'm so excited about. I'll be teaching with Trail Fit again, and I miss that family so much. And while I was getting acquainted to my new job, started, I I stopped kind of the one-off orders,
Yep.
not completely, but I didn't launch any new products. And I've been doing some work for a studio in Boston, Bespoke. I've been doing some of their merch, which has been great because it's a larger quantity of the same style, which I can
Mhm.
do a lot quicker than a custom order, or having 5 custom orders that are all different and that I need to work on separately.
That's fantastic. Now, did they just reach out to you based on the work that you were doing and your involvement with the community?
Yeah, so I love Instagram. I've probably said Instagram 10 times already, but I love connecting with people. So I connected with one of their instructors on Instagram over the summer, and I was posting a lot of my merch, and obviously tie-dye was and still is a really hot style. And Bespoke had opened up a warehouse location in South Boston, which is really cool. If you've never been, it's complete warehouse vibes. Like there is street art, and graffiti artists have covered the entire place in their work, which is really cool to see. But all studios have merch, and merch is so fun, and everyone wants to support their local businesses,
Absolutely.
and I was able to pair with them, and work on their merch, which I'm still working on, which has been so much fun. It's so fun to try new things and to reach another audience and to kind of work with other people that have other creative visions, and to see that come to life. So I've had a lot of fun doing that, and it has kind of helped me stay creative during a time where I didn't have ample time to work on my own projects.
Right.
But it's been great to be able to work on larger projects that are not as custom as the tie-dye that I was doing.
No, that's a great partnership. Bespoke has always been somebody to keep an eye on in the Boston area. They are leaders in a lot of their social platforms, and
Yes.
their merchandise has always been. I only go when I'm in Boston. I live outside of the city, so it's not an all the time type of class for me, but they've been, great instructors, great music. So it's been a really cool thing to watch them develop that relationship with you because their clothing is already so great. And then they just kind of amplified it a little bit more by adding in
Yes.
like unique design that no one else is doing. They're not doing like custom, clothing like that. So that's a really great partnership right there.
It is. It's really cool. They're awesome to work with, and it's been amazing. I've been spinning a lot.
Oh, good. Would you say that's something that happened throughout this last year that was unexpected, or do you have
Yes.
any other unexpected stories to share with us today?
No specific stories, but I call myself a spinner now. That's not the right word, but I think it's so funny. I don't know. I said it one day and I can't stop saying it, but I never was a frequent spin studio attendee.
Mhm.
Um, but I did impulsively purchase a Peloton during quarantine because I was missing workouts so much. And it, it's horrible to say, but I needed like something to motivate me, which sometimes purchases can do. You're like
Oh,
looking at this
absolutely.
expensive piece of machinery every single day. So I have grown to love it though. I didn't think it would be something that I would love so much, but I love being active and I do love trying new things. So it's kind of it's a good challenge for me right now because it's not, they make it look really easy. It's
Oh
not
yeah,
easy.
it's not just riding a bike outside. You gotta
Right.
hit that music a little bit.
So it's been a good challenge. Pushed me out of my comfort zone for sure.
Oh, that's awesome. What can we expect from you in the future? Do you have
Oh
any plans you
gosh.
want to share with us?
From me, so I love community and I love kind of networking with other people. So I would love, love, love to be able to organize some of my own events. I don't know what that looks like, and I don't even know. This is just coming out of my mouth right now. I
Keep it
haven't even
going.
really thought about this a ton, but I love to connect people and I love to be connected to other people. So I think in the future, I don't know when in the future, but hopefully being able to plan some events as the city kind of comes back to life. Whether that's centered around like body neutrality. I don't know what it looks like exactly, but just being able to connect people, because I think that what this year has shown us more than anything is that the people around us affect us so much. And I know during quarantine, a lot of people were finding that they maybe not didn't have the strongest of support systems as they thought they did, and it is hard when you're not at work seeing the same people or communicating the same ways as you would have before. So I would love to build up that sense of community that people can have, because after college it's really hard to make friends.
Oh,
And
you're
it's
preaching to the
something that
choir.
I always think about, and I am so lucky to have so many amazing people in my life, but it is really hard to kind of keep those relationships going at
Yeah,
some
it is.
points in life. And it is hard to find those new relationships. So I don't know, those were a lot of thoughts that just came out of my mouth, but
No,
don't.
all good. I love
I'm
your
always thinking of something.
that I think that's great. You're forward thinking, you're community driven, and you want to, bring better friendships. As we talked offline a little bit about previous things, like that's where, my thought process was. I think it's where a lot of people feel the need and the gap is friendships after college and what do they look like? And we could probably go on about that topic for another whole hour.
For
But
sure.
it's really important. It's hard to, that's why when the pandemic happened and a lot of gyms closed or social spaces closed, people lost that sense of community that,
Hmm.
they were so attached to. Like think of the CrossFit world. Like they weren't going to the gym and seeing their CrossFit buddies every day. And it's like it's on that flip side of being depressed, and it's hard to
Hmm.
change your lifestyle like that. So I think it's a really good, way to start thinking about your future and what the next steps could be. That's exciting.
Thank you.
Well, let us know how we can all find you and support your
Yes.
business.
Of
Uh,
course. So I stated before, but I'm on Instagram. It's Kayla Lee Mills. Lee is just Lee. Pretty simple name, kind of all flows together. And then there you can find the link to I'm a Working Woman. So it's I'm a Working Woman on Instagram, and then shopworkingwoman.com is the website for Working Women.
well, thank you so much, Kayla, for your time and your insight and sharing everything that you had with us today. Um, we
It
hope
was
to
a
chat with you
pleasure.
soon.
Sounds good.